Hello, my name is Lauren.
And I'm Kai, and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where we are not in the same room.
No, we are joined together virtually. Yeah. That was awkward. Welcome to the second annual Theoretical Oscars ceremony. I am extremely excited about this.
Yeah, last year we got, 9 votes. Apparently we figured ourselves out this year, because we were talking about it before. We got, 200 or 300 votes, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you guys definitely came through this year. So these are your choices for the Theoretical Oscars. We have 10 categories, a limited amount of camera batteries, so let's get started. With the first category, which movie had the best stunts this year? Your nominees were Birds of Prey, Mulan, Tenet, The Old Guard, and Wonder Woman 1984. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Thoughts on stunts in general. I still don't get why stunts aren't just at the Academy Awards.
You would think it's such a big part, and it has been for as long as films have been a thing.
Yeah,
stunts have been an integral part of it.
Yeah, Charlie Chaplin,
and Buster Keaton, those,
yeah,
the silent film action heroes,
jumping off of actual trains and stuff between horses.
Right? Yeah.
I don't get how it's just not a thing. But specifically this year, stunts were fine. I mean, you don't have any there wasn't a Tom Cruise jumping out of a airplane this year, but
I agree. Yeah, there weren't any sort of standout that I'm that deserves all the wins. So I wasn't as invested in this category as I was last year. I think I personally voted for Tenet, just because I know they did a lot of that stuff in front of the camera. There was obviously CGI, but a lot of it, the plane crash, that was all real. And you have to kind of respect Christopher Nolan for that, although he was definitely not the stunt coordinator.
And I mean, the plane crash, is that stunts? It's not real. I mean, it's
oh, true.
It's a stunt, just not a stunt with a person. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how to specifically categorize stunts, but I still also voted for Tenet because they crashed the plane in real life.
All right. Well, the winner of this category was not Tenet. It was actually Birds of Prey.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, sure. That had sort of a pretty wide margin. It got over twice what the next one was. The next one, the second place, was Tenet. So apparently people really like the stunts in Birds of Prey. I did not see Birds of Prey, so maybe they were amazing.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my list of things to watch when I eventually get 1 month of HBO Max, because it's way too expensive.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next category?
The next category was the worst Bechdel fail, which, if you don't know by now, the Bechdel test is you have to have 2 named women in your movie who have a conversation about something other than a man or a baby. And the point is wow, a lot of movies fail this, even in 2021 or 2020 when these movies came out. And so our nominees this year were Tenet and The Trial of the Chicago 7. You've seen both these movies. I've only seen one.
Yeah. So this category is always kind of weird, because it's what does the worst Bechdel fail mean? Is it the best movie that failed the Bechdel test, making it the worst that it failed? Or is it the movie that failed the Bechdel test the worst, where it's 600 men and 0 women? I don't know. But this year, it's Trial of the Chicago 7 and Tenet, you said?
Yes.
I mean, if you're talking about, the best movie that failed the Bechdel test, and that's what makes it, the worst that it failed, probably Trial of the Chicago 7. Because it's you didn't have women talk to each other in that movie.
Right, yeah.
But then again, it is based on a little bit of... I mean, it's loosely based on history. But I'm sure you could find some women involved
Yeah, that there were women involved with the whole trial that talked to each other. I'm
Even
sure
if they
that
weren't
happened.
like the ones on trial, you could still put them in your movie.
The audience seems to agree with us because Trial of the Chicago 7 won this year for this category.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
People didn't really talk to each other in Tenet, actually. I mean, so they talked to each other, but like they didn't really.
Can you talk to someone if you're moving backwards in time?
Yeah. There's this one scene. I won't get into it now, but Christopher Nolan kind of abandons his ideas of how the time travel works because you have like the bad guy Kenneth Branagh like talking backwards, but he would like say something back and it would sound backwards, and then they would replay it forwards, and then he would say something that sounds backwards again, but they come like sequentially. Like it makes sense that he said this and then this, but individually they were backwards, which is like you're going backwards just on the sentences. It doesn't make sense.
Alright, well the next category was the best Wilhelm scream from this year, and I actually struggled to find some. I only found 4 movies, arguably. One of them is Jumanji: The Next Level, which came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2019.
It came out in like December, so it was ineligible for the 2020 Oscars, so I'm like, well then we'll fit it in here. But Jumanji had a Wilhelm scream. The Mandalorian had a Wilhelm scream. Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe, and Wonder Woman 1984.
I think The Mandalorian actually had like a Wilhelm-esque scream, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, it didn't actually have a Wilhelm scream. That was my bad. I didn't fact check the nominees before I wrote them down and let people vote on them.
Imagine if this happened at the actual Oscars. That'd be the next mistake.
Oh, actually, this movie didn't have any visual effects.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what? Like best actress in a supporting role. Wait, no, all the actresses were in a leading role? Oh, we just didn't realize it.
The winner that you all chose for this category was Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe, with a runaway lead. Just, like, far and away, the most voted category. This is probably, like, the biggest... Actually, no, there's one other category with a bigger lead that we will get to later on. But yeah, it was hands down, no competition.
Yeah.
It was also very clean. Like, it was obvious that when the Wilhelm scream was.
Oh, using it again. Yeah, I'll make you a patch. Yeah, because I feel like Phineas and Ferb, like, if they put a Wilhelm scream, then they, like, tried to put that Wilhelm scream in for people to be like, look, it's that thing that I hear everywhere. And it's like, right. I mean, it's like trying to be the Wilhelm scream that everyone recognizes, as opposed to, it's like celebrating the Wilhelm scream instead of just using it.
Right. Whereas in like Jumanji, it's sort of a blink and you miss it. Or what's the opposite of like, how do you hear something? Like you turn your ears off for a second. You do this in the middle of the theater and you miss it.
Yeah, and it's like...
Why did I do that?
Yeah, it's like the audio mixers are like, ooh, we're going to put in the Easter egg that everyone puts in their movie.
Oh, hey, I just realized I was supposed to turn this light on. Oops. There, now you all can see me. Woo!
I mean, it's kind of better.
All right. Second half of this video will be better lit. All right, our fourth category this year was the best advertising campaign. This is my favorite category that we do because I think it's so interesting. So this year the nominees were Disney Investor Day, Sonic the Hedgehog, The Snyder Cut, and Trolls World Tour. I feel pretty strongly about 3 of these categories, and I don't care, or nominees, and I don't care about Trolls at all.
Yeah, okay.
The only reason it's on here is that it got a lot of people to like pay a ton of money to Amazon Prime wherever it debuted.
Yeah, the biggest thing with Trolls World Tour was just, it was the first one. It was like people cared little enough about it for them to just be like, okay, yeah, release it online. So it became like the first one that was just, released online. And then it made a bunch of money because of that. But other than that, it's
so the other 3, you had Sonic the Hedgehog, which was sort of this like weird conspiracy theory where it's like, did they release the bad version of the trailers and then rework the movie on purpose? Like, were they
Yeah.
trying to get buzz by like showing how terrible the first effects were and the
Well,
first character design?
I think they like did a test screening, but like for the whole world. Like,
Right,
they
yeah.
knew their design wasn't great. So they released a trailer with the design, and then they just got people's reactions. And then, I mean, it worked perfectly, because from that you had like people designing their own, and then they were able to like go in and be like, all right, so these people designed it this way. Let's just do that.
This is what they want. Okay.
Yeah, it did. I was gonna say that it's kind of like what I imagine J.J. Abrams was doing with Star Wars, where he's like, "Ooh, who are Rey's parents?" And then it's like, I don't actually know who Rey's parents are.
Well, it can't be any of those.
Yeah, like he didn't know, and then either he was gonna wait for like his favorite theory that happened online, or he was like, okay, I want to surprise them because I have my whole mystery box. So he just like went with the one that the least people were talking about. But that kind of means that it's the least good.
Fun.
Yeah, the worst. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the other two nominees in this category were sort of like the really big heavy hitters. So we had the Snyder Cut, which you can say it wasn't even started by Warner Brothers as an advertising campaign. It was sort of like this grassroots request for like the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And so all that advertising came totally free. And it got hundreds, if not thousands of people on board for this project before it was even announced, which is really cool from an advertising campaign. I'm not sure it was worth it. I don't know why this is sort of the hill these people chose to die on. It's not what I would have chosen. And then the other category was Disney Investor Day, which, if you have somehow forgotten, during the pandemic, because they could not host a D23 or the Disney convention in Anaheim, I think it's in Anaheim, it might be in San Diego, I don't know, I've never been. They did basically this 4 or 5 hour live stream where Disney announced all of their upcoming projects for like the next 5 years. Well, at least the ones that aren't secret. And if you are a Star Wars fan, a Marvel fan, a Disney animation fan, a Pixar fan, a National Geographic fan, there were these exciting new projects that just got all announced in one big info dump. And it was amazing. It was so cool.
Was that also when they released all of like the Marvel trailers, or was that like 2 weeks later? Where there was
they released a lot of trailers that day.
Yeah. Or it was like a Loki.
I'm trying to think specifically. They got a new Loki trailer. WandaVision hadn't come out yet. I think we got another glimpse of that.
What if?
And then the What If trailer. Oh, that's so good. I'm so excited for that show. So you got all those Marvel trailers, which premieres next month, right? Or in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's in like 19 days or something.
Man, I should finish the Clone Wars so I'll understand what's going on in that show. I'm still in season 4, so... No, I finished season 4. So I only have 3 seasons left to go.
Yeah. Season 5, I think, is the best season. And then season 6 is like... It's fine for the beginning. And then it just... You could tell they just stopped getting funding. But, is that all of the nominees?
That was all the nominees, and so I will add a dramatic drum roll here in post, because the winner is Disney Investor Day, which I think makes sense. There was just so much excitement for so long. Like, it was just this big adrenaline rush of no matter what Disney property you were interested in, there was suddenly all this new content for you to obsess over.
Yeah, especially just since during the pandemic, everything just stopped. Like, no matter what you were excited for, it didn't happen when you thought it was going to happen. But also
speaking of, like, okay.
But also just
unless you
were actually paying attention, like waiting for this to happen, like you knew Disney Investor Day was going to happen, it came as a total surprise.
Exactly, and it was available to everyone.
Yeah, if you're a casual Marvel fan.
Normally, this is sort of like you talk to, like, you have to be sort of in the room, or like you're an actual investor. Like, this is sort of like closed doors. This is like never happened before. Like, sure, they have D23, but it's never this much. All right, so back to my earlier botched transition. Speaking of pandemic, our next category was what film was most affected by the pandemic. And our categories this year, I have written down, A Quiet Place 2, Black Widow, F9, New Mutants, and Top Gun. Maverick. That's what it's called, Top Gun Maverick. Okay, so most affected by pandemic.
This is a category that I hope doesn't come back.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I really hope this is one and done. Yeah. Oh, James Bond was also, no one voted for it. Like, no one voted for it. But James Bond, No Time to Die was also on this list of nominees.
Well, that got
apparently no one wanted to go see James Bond.
Apparently. But like,
the last Daniel Craig James Bond. No one cares about it.
Yeah, I think that got pushed back again. Like, it's now coming out in 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Which would be like 18 months.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, I feel like it was affected.
Right. They just don't want to announce who the next James Bond is. They're like, we don't have anybody. Let's keep delaying the movie till we have an answer.
I mean, there's a lot of British people who could be action stars.
At first, I was like, well, New Mutants has to win. Because this was like its third or fourth delay. Like, it was supposed to come out years ago at this point. But, on the other hand, this is the only movie on the list that did come out, actually.
Yeah. I feel like that's just been affected in general by, like, its circumstances. But the pandemic, it was just another, like, wrench in the machine. But, like, it didn't actually affect it as much as, like, Dark Phoenix or something. And then the other nominees...
The other ones, they're mostly just, like, delayed either half a year or a year. Nothing... I mean, that's sad for production schedules and everything, and probably delaying future projects and setting everything back. But nothing too dramatic. The winner that you all chose to vote for this year was Black Widow. Which, that makes sense to me. That comes out finally, like, in 2 months, 3 months, July, maybe? June? I don't know.
Yeah.
J months, they're the same. Yeah. There's one long month, and it's J, and it's 60 days, 61 days.
Yeah.
All right. The next category was which film had the best/worst Deus Ex Machina ending, obviously. Your nominees were Scoob and New Mutants. So,
did I see Scoob?
I did see Scoob. We saw Scoob.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone else did.
See Scoob, yeah.
Well, actually, apparently they did, because the winner of this category was Scoob.
Ooh.
Can we talk about the ending of Scoob?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's ridiculous.
Briefly, the ending of New Mutants, I guess, is just the bear kills Reyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just bursts through the wall, kills them. And it's a little bit Deus Ex Machina that it's like, oh, and then she immediately learned how to control it. Because she realized she was generating everyone's fears.
Yeah. But Scoob.
Scoob. Okay. So, Alexander the Great had a dog, and there was this curse, and you can send someone to the underworld, and the only way to undo it is, like, you had to have a best friend and a dog. And then they had to go on other sides. And then, like, by some magical coincidence, they found a way to reunite Shaggy and Scooby. Because otherwise, was it Shaggy who's going to stay in the underworld forever? Or Scooby? I don't remember.
I think it was Shaggy who was just going to stay in the underworld forever.
It was just like a weird series of, like, your friendship is so strong.
It was like to open the weird portal to the underworld, which is filled with gold. You have to be best friends with a dog who is the descendant of Alexander the Great's dog.
Oh yeah!
You don't have to be an Alexander the Great. But your dog has to be a descendant of Alexander the Great's dog. And you have to be best friends with them. And if you are, then you send one into the underworld and one on the outside, and you touch either side of a door, and it seals the underworld then forever to keep like Cerberus from getting out. But
right.
then, if you love each other, you can just come back. But
right, it's like they set up these stakes, and it was like, are they really like gonna commit to that?
Oh
no, they're
Shaggy?
not. They're not. It's the power of friendship. Okay, right.
Well, but like,
is
you have
it
to be
killed if you're in the underworld? Can you die if you're in the underworld and then like
I think you just hang out.
You really
in the
can't
underworld.
leave.
But like
right.
you had to be best friends to close the portal, but you also had to be best friends to get back. So is there any scenario in which you close the portal and don't get back?
Mm-hmm.
Were there ever any stakes? It just
I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah.
No, the stakes were they weren't gonna be friends anymore because they were fighting.
Yeah.
Well, the next category in the theoretical Oscars was Best Property Not Owned by Disney. Because we talk a lot about Disney stuff, but there are some things that are good that aren't owned by them. So this year, the nominees for Best Property Not Owned by Disney were Bill and Ted, the DCEU, Scoob, and probably another one, but I didn't write it down because no one voted for it. So sucks to be the forgotten movie or franchise, I guess.
The Best Property Not Owned by Disney. It should be like, I think we changed it to be like Best Franchise or something, because the answer every year should just be the Best Picture winner for the Academy Awards, because that's never owned by Disney.
Right.
Like if Nomadland wins, oh well, that's the Best Property Not owned by Disney. But like, I think we changed it to franchise.
Can you
because
imagine
rarely
if they
is that
made
a franchise?
A Nomadland franchise? He sold action figures.
Yes. But yeah, or like Trial of the Chicago 7. Like, yeah, that's better than whatever won. Guaranteed. It's just a better movie. But I think we changed it to franchise because that makes it easier for us to not just choose whatever the Oscars chose. Because no one wants to vote on that. Then you're just voting for the Oscars Best Picture nominees.
And that's boring. Come on.
Yeah.
So, the winner this year for Best Franchise Not Owned by Disney was the DC Extended Universe. Which
really
makes a lot of sense considering it's really big. There's a lot of movies in it. People have a lot of big name actors.
Yeah.
Versus something like Scoob, which is one movie. Or I guess if you count the entire Scooby-Doo franchise, then it's a lot more. But Scoob felt very different from that, whereas the DCEU titles this year were Wonder Woman and The Snyder Cut and Birds of Prey, which were all sort of like these big anticipated movies, except maybe Birds of Prey. I could see that go flying under the radar a little bit.
Yeah. And they're definitely better than like Scoob. Even if they're not like, Nomadland or whatever. I don't
like Nomadland. Why do you keep bringing this up?
Because I think it's gonna win Best Picture, and I'm disappointed.
Okay. Yeah, that is also the movie I have down in my predictions.
I don't know. I feel like I actually disagree with the general consensus. I think Bill and Ted should have won. Because I actually never saw it, because pandemic stuff. Actually, was that on HBO or something? I don't remember. That was a really good movie. It had
its own release. It was pay-per-view.
Oh.
Okay.
But
I'm not a super big fan of the Bill and Ted franchise. I guess I've only seen the first movie, and I hear the second movie is really, really good. That's the one with Swedish Death. But the first movie I thought was just okay. I'm not a huge fan of just the humor where the joke is that they're kind of dumb. Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, fine. But, I don't know. I feel like Bill and Ted was better than the Snyder Cut. Says a person who saw neither Bill and Ted nor the Snyder Cut.
Movies. Yeah. The trailers were better.
Yeah, sure.
All right, well, I guess one has Keanu Reeves, so that automatically elevates it. All right, well, the next category was the worst sequel reboot or adaptation, sequel, remake, or adaptation. We changed the wording
think
around this year. It's
it's
basically
the worst
like
continuation
a new
of a thing. Yeah. Like,
yes.
yeah.
Artemis Fowl, Mulan, Scoob, and Wonder Woman 1984. I don't feel like Wonder Woman was that bad of a movie. I don't think Scoob was that bad of a movie either. They were just kind of meh for me, especially Wonder Woman. It was alright.
Wonder
I didn't
Woman
think it
was
was
very
amazing.
meh.
It was very long. Like, it could have been like half an hour shorter.
Yeah. And then Scoob.
And then, Mulan and Artemis Fowl.
Mulan was
we saw
pretty
Mulan.
Bad.
It was great because we paid the $30, watched Mulan, and then immediately went and watched the original. Like the 1997 or whenever it came out. And it was so much better.
Yeah. Well, like, a week after Mulan, I, like, forgot we'd actually watched it. Like, I thought it was a dream because it was so weird. Mm-hmm. Like, just when I looked back on it, I was like, that wasn't the real... Disney didn't release that, right?
No, it was mind-baffling. Like, they missed
now?
the point. Yeah. I didn't mind sort of like the ability, like the supernatural, not supernatural, but sort of mystical, magical elements of the movie. I was actually really hoping they would go deeper into that. But then they did way too much explaining, and they said chi way too many times. Like, what was up with that? Like, it's you like don't need to justify.
They didn't know what they were trying to do. They were like, okay, so she's a woman. All right. Yeah, that's the conflict. But that's not good enough. She's a woman, therefore she has magic. And people don't like magic. So
they especially hate women with magic.
Oh, man. Yeah, wait, were there men with magic? I forget.
Yes! Like, Donnie Yen's... Is it Donnie Yen? What's his name?
Did he have magic?
Yeah, he could do the exact same things as Mulan. But he was, like, general of an army. And she was... like, not allowed to be alive. Or I don't know what their justification was. But yeah, they had basically the same skill set. It's very annoying.
And is chi just luck? But also
I don't know.
Magic?
For the amount of times they said it in the movie, I don't know what it was.
Because, like, in Mulan's case, chi was like, oh, you're able to do a cool flip. But in the bird lady's case... Chi was, you could turn into a bird and you can run on walls.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was a very inconsistent movie and a poor remake. And then there's Artemis Fowl, which I'm not a fan of the Artemis Fowl books, but a lot of people felt this movie was super underwhelming. And I guess, like, there was a huge editing controversy where they did a ton of it, like, in ADR, and they just, like, inserted a big, like, MacGuffin plot point at the end that, like, wasn't in the original shooting draft.
I think There's
some sort of drama going on there.
I think I saw a video. Talking about that. I don't know, actually, what the drama was. It was...
Yeah, I don't know. It was, like, some big ADR drama.
Yeah.
I don't know. Artemis Fowl, I did read the first book, which the movie is based on. And
supposedly
he's the villain of the book, but the movie made him just like this very stereotypical like protagonist, and I didn't quite understand why they did that. If the reason people like the books is because Artemis Fowl is a bad person.
Well, in the first book, doesn't he wants to like kill fairies for their magic so he can be rich or something and powerful?
Yeah, and he's already rich and powerful. He wants more.
Yeah, he just wants to be more. So he like. I think
he's also looking for his father. Like they kept that part, but
really?
He's definitely more malicious. No, I don't think you meet the father in the book. Again, it's been a couple years since I read it, but I don't think you meet the father. It's sort of in the background of like, wow, this kid is left alone in this giant house, and he's choosing to use his insane wealth to kill fairies and extract their magic.
Yeah,
which is not a great thing for your protagonist to be doing. But luckily, Disney's going to smooth that all over and make him just a misunderstood kid. Well, the winner of this category that you all voted on was Artemis Fowl. So maybe there's some big Artemis Fowl fans in the comments who can tell us exactly why this movie sucked.
Sure. We're not the biggest, but you might be. So don't yell at
Yes,
us, but yell at
please
the
educate
movie
us.
in our comment
Yes,
section
vocally.
and
Go
give
on
us
Twitter.
interaction.
Please.
Ooh. All
right. Well, the next category is, yes, the worst Oscar snub. Your nominees were, let me find them. My papers. Where is, there we go. Aaron Sorkin for directing The Trial of the Chicago 7. I'm Thinking of Ending Things for Best Picture. Andy Ciara for the screenplay for Palm Springs. And Ludwig Göransson for the score of Tenet. You want to pronounce that?
I won't do it right. It's Ludwig Göransson. Just Göransson.
Göransson.
You know, like Schrödinger instead of Schrödinger. I don't know.
All right,
you're probably
let's not
German.
do 100 takes.
If you're German, pronounce it in the comments section down below.
Can you pronounce something in the comments section? Spell it out phonetically.
You're the one who took a linguistics class.
I took one linguistics class 3 years ago.
You should be able to pronounce anything.
This category is pretty straightforward. It's just who deserved nomination and didn't get it.
Yeah.
For me, it was pretty cut and dry. The score to Tenet's amazing. It should have been nominated. It should win. Actually, it should have won the Oscar this year, but it's not
definitely.
nominated.
This is
cool
the category
stuff he did with the concept of inversion.
Oh.
It's just, oh gosh, he wrote songs that were intended to be the same forwards and backwards.
Yeah, he wrote like palindrome
with,
songs,
it upside down. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Or like something that was like, it had one rhythm when you played it forward, and then it harmonized with itself when it was looped back.
Yeah,
just incredible. That's so cool.
It's like Mozart's
very underappreciated
tabletop duets, where you have a piece of music on a table, and you can play violin with the person not next to you, across the table, read it top to bottom, but both partners read it top to bottom, and it just like it works as a duet. But it's better because he's like making rhythms that work with themselves, and he's also like using different sounds. I'm sure he used like the sound of a violin playing backwards. Like there's no way he didn't. Or there's like those clock diagrams.
He did a thing where he got the entire orchestra when they were, I don't remember if they actually recorded this in like the Abbey Road, or like if it was in person, or they did this virtually because of the pandemic. But he got the entire orchestra to play everything as if they were playing backwards. So like all the dynamics were reversed.
So they would go like your embouchure instead of wow.
Yes, and you got the entire orchestra to do that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like I
can't believe he's not
like I'm talking backwards, even though it's forwards.
Yeah, but you're playing an instrument.
If you can't tell, this is the one we wanted.
Yeah, you guys wanted it too. He won, at least in our hearts and in this vote. That apparently doesn't matter.
The worst part is that the nominees this year aren't good.
No, and one of the Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are just nominated twice.
They're nominated twice, and you couldn't get Ludwig Göransson in there?
Oh, it's very disappointing. I feel like they just didn't want to have to pronounce his name again. They're like, oh, he won a couple years ago.
Yeah, last year with Joker, they're like, ooh, we can't have a composer with a hard name.
Oh, he won a couple years ago for Black Panther. That's what he won for.
Yeah.
He has so many iconic scores. Black Panther, The Mandalorian. Yeah. He's a very talented composer. All right. We are at an end. We have reached the last category of the Theoretical Oscars 2021, and that is the Best Actor in a Single Father Role. And your nominees are Pedro Pascal for The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal for We Can Be Heroes, and Pedro Pascal for Wonder Woman 1984. Do you have a guess who won this?
Single father. I mean, if there's one person that I think embodies single fatherness in Hollywood right now, it's got to be Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. I honestly can't think of any other.
Pedro Pascal.
Any other big names?
Like Pedro Pascal might be able to pull it off. Then there's Pedro Pascal. He could. I don't know. I actually haven't looked at the results for this one, so who knows? Maybe Pedro Pascal won.
He did!
Oh, wait.
Pedro Pascal. He won for The
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Din Djarin.
Yeah, definitely.
This was by far the runaway leader. It was 23 votes for The Mandalorian, and then 3 votes for Wonder Woman, and even less for We Can Be Heroes. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I didn't see.
Which is weird.
We Can Be Heroes.
Mandalorian is not a movie. It shouldn't actually be nominated in the category.
I mean, but
we also nominated a Wilhelm scream from a TV show.
Yeah.
So we're bad at sticking to our own rules.
We don't have an Emmys, so we might as well.
That's true, and we're not going to start one.
No.
I don't care about the Emmys enough to do that.
No.
Also, I feel like the Emmys are pretty good at nominating things that people actually watch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is everything.
Artsy, so.
Yeah. Everything for the Theoretical Oscars 2020, our second annual ceremony. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment in the section down here.
Ooh.
I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how I'm going to edit
organize
this.
So. Yeah. Whoa. Maybe you're overlapping us. That's a bad idea.
That'd be really weird. Let's not do that.
I mean, if I hang out on this side of the screen, we can talk to each other.
I'm on this side.
If we, No.
All right. You can also follow us on Twitter at Theory_Central to tell us all about the theoretical Oscars, the real Oscars. I'll be posting my predictions later today. We are filming this on Sunday morning. The morning of the real Oscars. So it'll be exciting. These are the real Oscars. Yeah, these are the real Oscars.
Yeah.
You've all been waiting for this.
Is there another ceremony?
Can't you see all of our guest stars? They're so famous.
But as we said, we have limited camera space, and we know you've already stopped watching this video, because it's pretty long. So thanks for watching.
And we'll see you later. But yeah, your video is dropping a ton of frames from what I'm seeing right now. But it'll be fine.